Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey on track to make $1 billion at the box office. Another movie about Matt Damon getting his ass home. Damn. This 300 helmet is heavy as fuck.
Welcome to DMR, Dewey's Movie Reviews. The red carpet treatment. Enjoy the show.
Alright. So welcome back to DMR. Thank you for tuning back in as always. Much obliged. There is no way in hell I'm wearing that 300 Spartan helmet you can see behind me here now. It's just too goddamn heavy. I wonder if it's real. I wonder if it's actually one for one in terms of weight. I bought that online on, eBay back in like 2012 for like $100. So, love it. Awesome. It's part of the DMR Living logo on Instagram. So, very cool prop to have in the 4K vault. And as you can see behind me here, it's really taking shape. We've got the Jurassic Park poster that's been put up behind the door there. You've also got the Kramer. It's all coming alive. It's all good. So let's review the Odyssey. So the Odyssey is one of 2026's, that's how you say it, most anticipated movie from Christopher Nolan, with the main character being Matt Damon. I just had a look on AI, and worldwide, the film has just surpassed $911 million. So it's well on track to reach that $1 billion mark. So I've seen the film over the weekend. It was a couple of weeks since the film has been released, and I saw it on a normal screening. I didn't see it on an IMAX theater or Drive in the City because apparently it's all booked out. Also around my locals, it's gone off VMAX, which is usually over at Event Cinema, because Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man movie, has come out. So I saw it on a normal screening on the weekend. So let's go through it all. We'll go over what the Odyssey is briefly, then we'll discuss the cast and the crew. And there has been some controversy surrounding some of the casting members. I'll briefly touch on that. I don't want to focus on that too much. And then I'll give it my rating about whether it's Christopher Nolan's best work or not. So a reminder that DMR is part of the Amazon Influencer Program. So what does that mean for you, the listener or the viewer at home? Well, there's a link in my show. You can jump on that link. It will take you over to Audible, and you can start a 30-day free trial on behalf of DMR. That's right, 30 days for free. So you can look at all of Audible's stock that they've got on there for all the audiobooks. There's some great ones that are available. Some very heavy ones in terms of, when I say heavy, how long they go for. And this is a very good choice for you to listen to any audiobook, basically, that they have listed in their library. So, again, you'll be helping DMR, and we really do appreciate that if you take up that offer. So, let's rock on. Let's go through this big one and see what my thoughts are. Alright, so the Odyssey. So, this has been brewing for quite some time. So, Christopher Nolan, we all know who he is. He is one of the best directors that is of our generation. He has pumped out phenomenal films. Phenomenal films like Inception. You've also got the Dark Knight trilogy. You've also got The Prestige, Interstellar, Tenet. All these films he's pumped out. And he's not that old. He's in his 50s, I think he is. So I think this guy has many, many more years to come in terms of some of the crazy-ass films that he puts out. So, the Odyssey. So, on Rotten Tomatoes here, we've got a score of 94% from the critics, and then you've got 97% from the audience, which is piping hot. It's coming hot from the audience. So, extremely high scores for this Nolan film. And apparently he made it on IMAX cameras, I think it might have been 70 millimeters, something like that, where they could only shoot or use the cameras for 3 minutes at a time. So wild stuff. Wild stuff. So what is the Odyssey? So we'll go over the synopsis here. So Odysseus, which is played by Matt Damon, is the king of Ithaca, and he embarks on a perilous journey to return home after the Trojan War. Crossing the Mediterranean Sea with his fellow soldiers, they soon find themselves battling not only the elements, but an array of deadly obstacles and mythical creatures along the way. So, in the film is based around Troy, the Battle of Troy, somewhat. You do see parts of it in the movie, and for someone that is a big fan of the movie Troy when it came out, starring Brad Pitt and also Eric Bana as well, I'm also a massive fan of 300. Obviously, you can tell by the Spartan helmet. Whilst 300 is a different battle, Troy came out before the movie 300. It came out in 2004. And that was heavily focused, or the whole movie was basically focused around Troy. And you had the Greeks that were attacking the Trojans. Helen of Troy went off with the Prince of Troy and then his older brother, which was Hector. And they took her back to Troy. And behind them was a thousands and thousands of ships of the Greeks that were coming after them, led by Agamemnon, I think it's how you say it. And his brother, I can't remember his exact name, but he was the king of Sparta, and they're coming back to get Helen of Troy. And this is what it's all about. The face that launched 1,000 ships, they say in the Odyssey. So, amazing film Troy was with Brad Pitt and Eric Bana. The fight scenes in Troy back in 2004 were phenomenal. It still holds up today, over 20 years old. It's 22 years old. And it's an amazing film about that battle that took place long ago. So, then you've also got 300 as well, where they will find the Persians. So, I love that style of movie. And how does it compare to the Odyssey? Well, as we know, we've got Matt Damon who plays Odysseus. So the film basically, I'm trying to dance around spoilers as much as I can. I will touch on some light spoilers towards the end of the review. Try to stick to the trailer as much as I can. So we've got Odysseus, and they're all basically arming up to go over to Troy and go along that storyline that I mentioned before. So the film dances back and forth with the future, the present, and also the past as well. So he leaves his kingdom, which is Ithaca, and his son, which is played by Tom Holland, Spider-Man, is basically coming into age as the battle goes on. I think he might be 10. It takes him 10 years to complete this battle. And that's what was a little bit funny in terms of the timing, because throughout the film, in the Odyssey, they say that they're basically at Troy for 10 years. Where if you go back to the movie Troy, it doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like a couple of days. So I'm not sure around the timing of the whole 10 years things versus the actual battle. Might have to go back and have a bit of a look at that. If you're well versed in the Odyssey, you might be able to tell me or think what the correct answer is. So they're all planning to go there, and we know the story where they have the battle. They try to get into Troy. It's impregnable. They can't get through the gates, all the huge stone walls of Troy. So what they basically do is they create a gift from the gods, which is a massive Trojan horse. And the Trojans find this, and they basically bring it back, or get tricked and bring it back into Troy with a heap of Greek soldiers that are hiding within the Trojan horse. And when night falls and everyone's asleep, except for a couple of guards, they come out through the horse and basically open the gates to Troy, where they have the whole Greek army that is waiting to get in said gates. And all hell breaks loose. And that's where we see in the film Achilles, played by Brad Pitt, he basically gets taken out. Prior to that, he takes out Hector, and a lot of people die in the movie Troy. So we've got Odysseus. He is making his way to Troy, has the battle, and then that was about 10 years, and then he has the remaining 10 years of him getting back to his kingdom, which is called Ithaca. Now, his wife is played by Anne Hathaway, called Penelope, I think it is. I'll get to the cast and crew in a moment. But there's a whole heap of crap going on back at home in Ithaca, where you've got the suitors, they call them. All these random blokes, for such a long time, are all lining up. They're pissing up every night, eating all the food, drinking all the wine, yada, yada, yada. And they're waiting to basically have their way or try to be the new king or the new suitor for the queen, who is waiting for Odysseus to come home. So a bit of a mouthful there. And along the way back home with his men, Odysseus has to face a whole heap of different obstacles, different mythical creatures as well, the elements, all that jazz for him to finally get home. So let's go over the cast and the crew of the Odyssey and who plays who. Alright, so before we go over the cast and crew, let's read what the critics' consensus is along with what the audience says as well. So, reinvigorating an ancient adventure with majestic sweep and sterling work by its colossal ensemble, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey imbues myth with primal human feeling. Then we've got here, the audience says, a cinematic epic fit for the biggest screens. The Odyssey proves with technical precision and unrestrained grandeur that there's no filmmaker quite like Christopher Nolan to steer Odysseus' voyage home. So let's go over the cast and the crew. So before we do that, let's scroll down here 1 second, how long the movie actually is. It's 2 hours and 53 minutes long. So it's basically 3 hours. And at times you do feel that. With some movies that are 3 hours, sometimes you don't feel how long they are. But in the movie The Odyssey, you do feel it. I felt it, basically. Not to say that it's boring, but there are parts in it where it's just like, okay, yep, you start to really do feel that. So let's go over that cast and the crew. Let's have a look here. 1 second, please hold. So obviously we got Christopher Nolan as the director. So he's very well known for having a very distinct style of cinematography in his movies. Everything looks extremely crisp, very purposefully shot, and The Odyssey is no different. And it's an amazing looking film. Now, apparently, I saw online as well that some of the boats that they used in The Odyssey, they are not true Greek boats. They are more so like Nordic boats with like Vikings. I'm not too sure how much truth there is behind that. Anyhow, the sea battles, when I say sea battles, sea voyages more accurately, are very cool to look at. Very, very cool. So, as I said, it does focus around the Battle of Troy, and it cuts back and forth through time about that particular battle. And then we do see the fates of the people that are involved with the Battle of Troy. So, Matt Damon. I keep seeing some memes online about this is just another movie about getting Matt Damon home. So you've got films like Saving Private Ryan, obviously getting him home. You've got The Martian, you've got Interstellar, you've got The Odyssey. It's all about rescuing Matt Dillon's ass and getting him home. So pretty funny. So he plays the role of Odysseus, and he plays him very, very well. I really did believe him up on the screen. He's pretty ripped in it as well. So obviously he's got in pretty decent shape when he is filming this film. And he does a great role as Odysseus. He really nailed it. I thought it was pretty good. Moving down here, we've got Tom Holland as Telemachus, I think it is. So that's Odysseus' son. And Holland really does well on this too. He's having a great year. So you've got Spider-Man that just came out. So just think about that. You had Spider-Man that's just come out at the movies this week, or the week just gone. And then before that, he plays a pretty major role in the Odyssey. So he's having a good run, very good run. We've got Anne Hathaway. She plays Penelope, which is Odysseus's wife, and she does pretty well in the film as well. I'm not a real big fan of Anne Hathaway. I find her to be cheesy at times, to a degree. And when she was in The Dark Knight Rises as Catwoman, I grew up in the early 1990s, and Michelle Pfeiffer was that Catwoman back then in Batman Returns, and it's like chalk and cheese. They were completely different. Pfeiffer knocked out of the park, and I thought, and I don't know, they might have cast somebody a little bit better to play Catwoman. I just didn't really buy the whole thing. Anyway, she does pretty well in this film as the queen that's pining for her husband to return from Troy. And you see that angst every time of her looking to see when this guy's coming home. She does believe he's going to come home. And all these suitors, which kind of pisses you off in the film, that they're all waiting to step in line to take the throne. So, interesting stuff. Then we got Robert Pattinson, who is one of the villains in this film. And he is one of the main suitors as well. He's a coward, an absolute coward. You love to hate this guy. Spineless piece of crap. And he plays him well. So you love, if someone plays a role like that and you love to hate him, they've done their job. So he does a pretty good role in this as well. Now, one of the controversial, not to me, but controversial castings in this film was Lupita Nyong'o as Helen of Troy. But what I found was a bit lazy in terms of casting. She actually plays two characters, is listed here, and I'm pretty sure this is accurate. She plays Helen of Troy, and again, she's not a massive role in this film. But then she also plays Clemestria, I think it's how you say it, which is the wife of Agamemnon, which is the Greek king. And I just found that really lazy in terms of casting. Whilst the roles are really small and they don't stack up in terms of the controversy surrounding all the crap that was online, I don't really care about that. But you've got her playing two roles in it. To me, that didn't make any sense. Surely, if the roles are that short up on the screen, you would cast two different people to play two separate roles. Anyway, is what it is. So then we've got Zendaya as well. She plays Athena, and I think that's a god. And you see her pop up from time to time talking to Matt Damon's character, Odysseus, on his journey home. Again, not a huge role, but decent nonetheless. She is pretty good in the film. She's pretty good in a lot of stuff, but she's in a lot of stuff as well. And there's that thing that's out at the moment called Zendaya fatigue. Again, we started to watch, my wife and I, Euphoria. We just finished season 1 or into season 2. Now, that's very good acting from her. Very good acting in terms of like drug abuse and the fallout from all of that in a high school setting. So that's a cracker of a role that she plays in that particular series. Very good actress. Very good actress. So moving forward, we've got here Charlize Theron. She plays a character called Calypso, and she is basically part of the backside of Odysseus' journey home, where he's quite a lot older, and he's in this like beach land, or this like he's on a beach somewhere with a lot of the time. He's very forgetful, and she feeds him lotus, and that kind of wipes his memory to a degree. And she is very happy with him. He's happy with her, but he forgets the reason why he has to go home. Obviously, at that point, he's separated from his men, and it was just a bit of an odd role, but quite good. And he gets kind of stuck there for, I think it's like, spoiler alert, like 7 odd years of the back end, 10 years that he's making his way home. So, pretty good in that. You've also got John Leguizamo, and he plays he's partially blind, called Emmanuel, I think it's how you say it. Good role, very good role in this film. Really did like his character. Then you've also got Hamish Patel. He plays Eurylochus, I think that's how you say it. And he's one of Matt Damon's or Odysseus's crew members on the ship. He doubts him a lot in terms of his ability to get them home through all the crap that they go through. And again, pretty good role. Then you got Elliot Page playing Sinon. Again, this role was quite short, but it does play a very specific role in this film with the storyline, especially going back to Robert Pattinson's character as well. You can watch the film for yourself. It's still out in the cinema at the moment, so I won't go into too many spoilers about that. So you've also got here, scrolling further down, you've got John Benathiel playing Menelaus, I think it is. John's amazing. He's a cool actor, very, very cool. When you look at him, it's kind of like looking at a little bit of like a stray dog. Kind of reminds you a bit of Javier Bardem as well. Just that look and that the way that he's holds himself on the screen when he's up in every scene that he's in. Amazing actor. So he plays, I think it's the king of Sparta. So a lot of stuff in this movie in terms of the timeline and the fates of what happens to the other members of the people that are at Troy, that's not the same in this movie. And I don't know how much accuracy the original Troy movie had back in 2004 versus what we see in the Odyssey in 2026. So from a person that really likes Troy and then seeing this as well, I did really like this movie. It's not a flawless movie. I didn't think it was a masterpiece like people are basically out there saying that it is. But it's a very decent film and a good installation from Nolan. So what I'll do next up, I'll go over some of the light stories that are in it. I'll try to avoid spoilers as much as I can. I do spoiler reviews, but I'll hint at some of the things that you'll see in the film. Alright, so here are my movie notes. I did take movie notes in this particular film. And again, I'll try to dance around spoilers as much as I can, keeping it to the trailer as much as I can. So the Battle of Troy, I've already mentioned that. The Trojan horse, I really did find that style of horse was pretty cool. It looks amazing when you look at it up on the screen. There's a part in it when they get back to Troy where they start to stab it. And you've got guys that are in the horse, obviously. One of them, spoiler alert, one of them gets cut. And then as he's going up, another guy grabs the sword and wipes the blood clean. I'm thinking there's no way in hell he would be able to wipe all of that blood clean with his bare hand, and the soldier that's up above wouldn't be able to see any trace of it. I didn't find that bit believable. So, but again, minor nitpick there. Then we've got the Cyclops cave. You see that in the trailer. The Cyclops, it's not a big CGI looking Cyclops to a degree. I'm a little bit in terms of the jury's out for this one for me because it kind of feels and looks pretty clunky when you're in the cave with it. And some of the things didn't make sense to me when Odysseus and his crew are in this cave. It's herding sheep, it's making cheese. It's like, it was a little bit odd. I found it a bit strange in terms of the whole scenario. And you can see it online as well that people are complaining that the Odyssey is way too loud as well, which is pretty wild. It is in parts, but I didn't think it was overly loud, but I did see it on a regular screening. So then you've also got the large silver knights, and they're going through a forest, and it's pretty cool in terms of that scene where they're actually walking around the forest, and parts of the forest are like moving and trapping them as well. So I did find that scene pretty cool. Then they come across a witch and the pig scene. Man, this is awkward. This is like stuff of nightmares. When you see this scene, you'll know what I'm talking about with what this particular witch does to Odysseus. Not Odysseus, it was his men, what happened to. But pretty wild scene, that one. Then there was also a scene that ventures into Hades, which I found very cool. That was an awesome scene. Then we go back to, we got Robert Pattinson, he's back in Ithaca. We got Tom Holland, that's Odysseus' son. Then we've got the scene with Calypso, I've already mentioned that. One was pretty cool was they sail past the sirens, and you can see in the trailer where Matt Damon is tied to a pole and he's screaming. And the rest of his crew have wax in their ears so they can't hear the song of the sirens, which apparently will lead sailors to jump board and go to their death. That scene was pretty cool. I really did like that scene because it really showed the intensity of what this particular sound would sound like through the eyes of Matt Damon when he's tied up on the ship. So very, very cool. Then we also had the whirlpool scene. You see that in the trailer. Then as they go past that, there is a certain type of rock monster. This thing I didn't really buy. It's all CGI, but Nolan's pretty clever how he's going to address this because his films aren't CGI heavy to a degree. But when he has something that is CGI up on the screen, it's very quick and it darts across your screen, so you don't focus on it too much. So I did like what he did. He did the same thing with the Cyclops, where you don't really see it too clearly. So he did pretty well with that. Although I did have issues with some of the monsters in the film. So when they get past all that, then we've got the final battle of Odysseus and how he makes his way back to Ithaca and to reclaim his throne with all these suitors. And the final battle in the film is very, very solid. I enjoyed how they did it. And there's a certain type of bow and arrow that only Odysseus can bow or operate, and then shoot it through a number of axes that are all stuck together like that. And how he completes that mission. That's what the Queen gives them. In the end, a task for these suitors to do that, string this bow, and then shoot through these axes. And Odysseus makes his way back into the castle, and he's dressed as, again, spoiler alert, dressed as a beggar to get back there. And then it's all revealed that it's him, and a big fight takes place, and the movie that ends thereafter. So I really did like how it all kind of wrapped up. So there's some of the main parts that are in the film. So what we'll do now, let's give it a verdict and we'll go from there. So my verdict for the Odyssey. Is this my favourite Christopher Nolan movie? No. His films that really stood out to me or I like the best is the Dark Knight trilogy. You've also got Inception as well. You've also got The Prestige, which is based around magicians going toe-to-toe. Awesome film. If you haven't seen that, go back and check it out. He's done many, many films to date. This one was really, really hyped up, and it's an amazing, huge score on Rotten Tomatoes for this. So cinematography in the film, it looks very sharp. It's amazing to look at when you go and watch it. The runtime on it, just under 3 hours. You do feel it in parts, and the acting in it from all the assigned roles, pretty solid. However, there aren't too many Greeks that are actually in this particular film. So obviously with the Greek Odyssey tale, you would think that there would be more assigned Greeks in it. However, it's null and void here in terms of the acting and whatnot. So everyone does very, very well in it. So the story, I didn't know too much about the back end of the Odyssey in terms of what happens after the Battle of Troy. I didn't study that part of history. But it's a pretty good tale to watch up on the screen. So cinematography, brilliant. It looks immaculate. Sounds very loud at times in parts. The runtime on it, you do feel it in terms of it being probably a little bit too long in parts. There are parts in it that you would think you can iron out or cut from it. So in terms of some of the miscast controversy around it, where we addressed that in terms of one particular actress playing two roles in it, I thought it was pretty lazy. But all in all, out of 10, I'd probably give the Odyssey a solid 8. It's well worth seeing at the cinema. I feel it's probably going to be going for quite a while, another couple of weeks, maybe a month or two, who knows, in terms of its runtime. But is this going to be one of the best movies of 2026? So you've got some very big films that are coming out the end of the year, which is The Avengers Doomsday. And you've also got Dune Part 3. Massive fan of the Dune movies. I really, really like them. So will this be my top 10? Only time will tell, but it's a pretty solid movie. Pretty solid Nolan film. Movies like Tenet, I didn't really like in terms of Nolan with what he was trying to do with that particular movie. I would put this movie on par with Interstellar. I like Interstellar. I think it's a solid movie. It's not my favorite Nolan film, but I'll probably put it in that bracket in terms of what his films are like. So thank you for tuning in to my review for the Odyssey. Well worth a watch at the cinema. Try to see it on a VMAX or an extreme screen. I just saw it on a regular session, which was fine. It was all good. However, you'll probably get more bang for your buck if you can go and see it in an IMAX theater. Apparently, they're still all booked out at the moment. So there you go, the Odyssey. So stay tuned for DMR. We've had an amazing interview that's on the editing floor at the moment with Tamra Davis, the director for Billy Madison. You've also got Half Baked and CB4. And the good news is, this is the good news. We've got potentially 3 to 4 interviews lined up over the next month. And all of them have approached DMR either themselves or via their PR companies. So that's good. That's a good sign. We like it. And obviously I'm doing my own canvassing as well. That was with Tamara Davis. That was part of my canvassing. So it's cool. It's cool. We're going to be doing a fair few interviews. I think we're going to be getting pretty busy. Pretty goddamn well busy. So, as per usual, ladies on the Menjay.
You've just experienced DMR.